The origins of the Ashkenazi are some of the most mysterious in all of Europe. Claiming descent from the ancient Israelites, they took a prominent place in Central and Eastern Europe during the late Middle Ages. How did they get there? When? And are they really the descendants of the ancient populations of the Levant? I'm well aware of the sensitivity of this topic, and I approach it with utmost respect, humility, and truth. Conspiracies will be challenged with genetic evidence and historical facts, and the true origins of the Ashkenazi will emerge from the mists of history. Hi, friends, I'm Kevin McLean. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and consider supporting the channel on Patreon, PayPal, or through YouTube Super Stickers. Remember, you can also get this program ad free if you subscribe through YouTube, or you can subscribe over on Patreon. Your support helps me to make videos like this. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Perhaps the most appropriate place to start is the name itself. Ashkenazi is derived from the biblical figure Ashkenaz, a son of Gomer. In Jewish tradition, everyone in the world descends from Noah, and this forced Jewish people and later Christians to try to explain the origins of every people in the world according to the sons of Noah. As awareness of the extent of the world and its people grew, so too did the explanations and the historical movements used to explain them. For instance, Gomer was said by ancient Jewish historian Josephus to be the origins of the Celts, through the Cimmerians, then the Gauls and Galatians. A major book publisher in Wales is called Gomer Press because of this. Originally, the son Ashkenaz seems to have been derived from the name of the Assyrians, but begins to be applied to the kingdom of Urartu. In the 10th century AD, History of Armenia by John Catholicos, he says that their people were originally called Ashkenaz and were the descendants of him, which is derived from its earlier use to refer to the general region of the South Caucasus, as opposed to Gomer being associated with the Cimmerians north of the Caucasus Mountains. For the reason of dividing different regions of Europe into different descendants of Japheth, the Jewish people living in Iberia became known as the Sephardics, those of France, the Tsarfat. We know that the Ashkenazi must have been primarily dwelling in South and Central Germany because their language, Yiddish, developed from Old High German. By the 10th century, the towns of Mainz, Worms, and Speyer were the core of the Ashkenazi culture. Though beginning in the 10th century, we actually know quite a lot about the history of the Ashkenazi. There are many hundreds of years where written history tells us very little. This led to some early incorrect but originally well-meaning theories, which have lingered far past their expiry date. The most pernicious and widespread of these is the Khazar theory. The Khazars were a Turkish group from Central Asia, which pushed west into what is now European Russia in the 6th century AD. They established their power center north of the Caucasus, approximately where the Cimmerians had previously resided. And from there, they spread out along the Don, Volga, and Dnieper rivers. Due to some of the symbols that they employed, and some vague historical commentary, some believe that at least the Khazar leadership had converted to Judaism. A quite unusual event if true. The Khazars would come face to face with the forces of the Rus and would be completely defeated by the Slavs around the 10th century. An early modern Jewish scholar proposed that the Khazars were the origins of the Ashkenazi due to the location of their former rule and their supposed Jewish religion. By the end of the medieval period, many of the Ashkenazi were living in the east in what is now Poland, Belarus, and Ukraine, and the Khazars appeared to provide an easy answer for how they got there. But this easy answer was the wrong answer and has since been utilized to maliciously claim that the Ashkenazi Jewish people have no actual connection to the historical Israelites.
Peace and love, family. I wanted to stop that video right there. I didn't say it. Crumb didn't say it. We didn't say it. You heard it from a actual scholar, and from this documentary here off of YouTube. So without further ado, good brother, what's going on? Can you hear me? Mic check 1 2.
Peace and love, Almighty. All is truly. I'm sorry. Peace and love, Almighty. All is truly well. Thank you for answering yourself.
All is good, man. All is good. I just wanted to set the premise with that video. I hope you liked it. I found it a couple of days ago. I said, I want to know more about these people. Let me find out who they are. So, I hope you like that. And I want to ask you to actually read, well, not read, but I know there's a disclaimer we have to say right now, so I'm not too familiar with it. I want to start with that disclaimer, and then you can take the floor, good brother.
Yeah, please. If you go to the disclaimer, I got some stuff I'm ready to say.
Okay. Well, I'm asking if you could say, because I think you said it before. You said it very well. It's not a script. You said something about something. I got the ticker running at the bottom for the Copyright Act of 1976 at the bottom, but I just want to go on record by saying that this does not reflect the views of YouTube. We're not talking about hatred or anything like that. This is not an anti-Semitism live. This is pure history. This is not the views of myself, not the views of Crumb TV. This is the views of historians. We will be citing different historians and citing our work. I do have a quick PowerPoint about Judaism through the historical communities, exile and identity. This is about the tribe of Judah and those who descend from the tribe of Judah. This is not an anti-Semitic message. We do not promote hatred. It's all love over here. Safe space.
Yes, 1,000,000%. We are not here to attack any group of people. All are welcome, all viewpoints. This is not propaganda to sway anyone in any particular way. As the minister said, this is a safe space for all. With that said, as that guy was speaking, I was about to blow I was about to blow a blood vessel. I was about to go off. But I'm so glad that he said what he said, because I was going to ask, because as you can see, I typed in Ashkenazis are not, anybody know what not means? Not related to Ashkenaz from the Bible. I'm sorry, undo. But lived in the land of the Ashkenaz later, centuries, not centuries, hundreds of years later. Well, 100 years is a century. My apologies. Anyway, so I typed all of that in, and AI overview says you have actually hit on the exact historical and linguistic reason for the name. This name, the reason for their name is not biblical. It's not heritage. It is true that the Juicies, the Ashkenazi, do not biologically, biblically descend from the biblical figure of Ashkenaz. They don't. These are a new people, not an old people. Here is how the name originated. Biblical origin, Ashkenaz was a descendant of Noah through Gomer. That is true. Is a geographic and ethnic name in the Hebrew Bible. Ashkenaz went over to a particular land. He settled the land. Him and his people grew up and lived on that land, and it was called the land of Ashkenaz. Then a different people came and settled on that land, and they were known as Ashkenaz. No different than you and me, or anybody for that matter, moving to China, and then through nationality, we would be known as Chinese people. Not through birthright, not through divine lineage, but through nationality. Well, you live here, so you're one of us now. If you move to America and you live here, you pay taxes here, you do business here, you raise your children here, for all intents and purposes, as a nation, your nationality is American. That's your nationality. They moved there, and that's how they became Ashkenaz. Historically associated with ancient peoples near the Black Sea and Armenia, like Kim Kardashian and them. This is south of the Caucasus Mountains. Medieval, the medieval. This is not biblical. Oh, you know, back in Jesus wasn't around on the medieval time. The medieval time came way later. Medieval naming shift. People hear me now, understand me later. They changed their names. Crumb, who you talking about? Let's name some names. Family, there was a guy named Jacob. Some of you might call him Yakub. It doesn't matter. His name was Jacob. Let's just call him Jacob. But just be clear, Jacob means trickster. Jacob means usurper. Jacob means swindler. Jacob means deceiver. That food don't look good on the menu. You can't call it goy slop. You got to call it a cheeseburger with shroom, not shroom. What do you call those fries that you be serving, minister, with the special mushroom sauce? What is it called again?
You said fries with mushroom sauce?
It's some fries, and you put this mushroom stuff on it. It's a very expensive, rare mushroom.
Oh, truffles.
Truffles. You can't call it goy slop. You're gonna have to call it an Angus burger with truffle fries. They changed the name to make it sound better, so we can't call him usurper, deceiver. We're gonna have to call him Israel. After that, it was a part of their ethnicity. Hey, well, now that okay, Abram, you're gonna have to change your name. It's now gonna be Abraham. And family, y'all better follow me. His name was Abraham, not Abraham, because these are the Semites or the Shemites. It's not Abraham, it's Abraham from Hamites. Medieval naming shift. In the medieval ages, rabbinic scholars began using Ashkenaz as a geographic term to refer to the Rhine Valley of Germany. Family, when I say Ashkenaz, don't think from the Bible, think during the medieval times over in Germany. Because the first organized Yiddish-speaking Juicy communities living in this region took on the localized Hebrew term. They came there. Okay, well, I guess we're Chinese now. We live out here in China, Shanghai, and a gang. Not that we were all my family is from Shanghai. No, we just got over here. These are new neighbors. What do you want to call them? Well, just call them Ashkenazis. Might as well. They're here now. So I just want to kind of clarify that before I go any further on this. I'm so glad the minister played that, and I'm so glad that we've clarified that they're not the originals from the Bible. They moved there during the medieval time. And this is I'm making this word up, Googleable. Family, just Google it. Hey, are these people really from the Bible, Ashkenazis? No, they're not from the Bible. They got that name because they're nomads. As the minister said, when you're dealing with these Arabs, when you're dealing with these Turks, they're called Bedouin.
Yep. Bedouin, which is the Arabic word for desert dweller. Arab or Arabia is a nomadic individual. Arabia means car, by the way, but mover means you're constantly moving. Correct.
These movers, they moved and settled, colonized the area, and then became Ashkenazis. I yield the floor, please. I'm sorry, Minister.
No, I think you was doing a beautiful job, and I want to definitely get a mic back to you. So what I did to keep track of everything, because Crumb is way more fluent than I am in this. I'm more fluent
and the historical measure of individuals like Solomon ben Isaac. But before I start do my spiel, I want to preference um, by reading from the scriptures. We can't get penalized for reading the scriptures, I don't think, but let's just start with the scriptures. This is coming from the book of John. This is John 8:44. This is when Jesus was having a conversation with the Pharisees and Sadducees. If you're not familiar with the Pharisees and Sadducees, I will go over that a little bit later. Just remind me. Basically, Pharisees and Sadducees were the two sects, SECT, sections of the holders of the Torah, or the keeper of the Torah. They were also known as, I'm going to say the Arabic term, but known as Mukmin or Mukminati, men of the book. And the book was the Pentateuch that we call the Old Testament. At that time, was called the Safa Harasa literature, and the term Safa Harasa, we'll get into that as well. But this is Jesus having a conversation with them to preset this conversation we're reading in John 8:44. This is when Jesus came to rescue the woman who was about to be stoned to death, and Jesus drew in the sand and said, "Those without sin cast the first stone." Of course, the people dropped their stone, but the Pharisees and the Sadducees kept their stones in their hand. And this is the conversation. They're challenging Jesus by asking him, "Who are you? Like, who are you to align yourself with the Most High?" And Jesus says to them, "You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies." Good gracious. Let me bring a receipt to that scripture. That was Jesus talking. Let's go over to Revelation 2:9. Revelation 3:9 also makes the same claim as well, but this is Revelation 2:9. "I know your affliction and your poverty, yet ye are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Yiddish and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan." That is the second literature that referred to them as the children of Satan. And let's go one more just for good measure. So you can't say I said it. This is the scriptures talking. "I will make those who are of the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Yiddish, though they are not, but are liars." There's that lie again. "I will make them come and fall down at your feet and acknowledge that I have loved you." Now, when I did some research on that, I came across this group right here. Hold on. This group right here were called the Beta Israel, House of Israel, or historic community of Ethiopian Yiddish, who practiced an ancient, isolated from their Judaism for centuries in the mountains of Amhar and Tigray regions of Ethiopia. Back then, it'd be called the land of Sheba, or Axum, or Cush. The vast majority of the community now lives in Israel, having immigrated through major rescue operations. Their ancient roots, the community's origins, trace back to at least 15th century, which traditions claim descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, or from the lost tribe of Dan. Okay, this is their claim to fame. Now, the Queen of Sheba, real quick, that wasn't her name, of course. Let's go to image, see if they can show us this. Her name was Marquita. Okay. Okay. This is the Queen of Sheba. Her name was Marquita, and she was the queen of the land of Sheba, and she was the empress of Ethiopia. This is the land of Sheba, they call it. Okay. And the land of Sheba is the entirety of what was called the Kushite Empire, or the Hamites, in the Mizraim, or the Mizrites also. So this is showing you the biblical lineage of the true inheritance of the rights of the tribe of Judah from the north, from the south. The ancient kingdom of Sheba, called Saba, was prosperous civilization known for its frankincense, myrrh, and gold. What were the three items that were brought to the Christ child upon his birth? Those three items. I wonder where they came from. Modern historians and archaeologists pinpoint its heartland in present-day Yemen, though the empire occasionally extended across the Reed or Red Sea into parts of modern Eritrea and Ethiopia. The legacy of Sheba is divided into two primary traditions, both deeply intertwined with antiquity. The Arabic tradition and Islamic texts and historical records, the Queen of Sheba is known as Blisk. Her realm was centered around ancient city of Marib in southwestern Arabia, famous and engineering marvel of Marib Dam. Ethiopian tradition and Ethiopian lore, she is known as Makeda. Her capital was Aksum in North Ethiopia, and according to the national epic, whatever that says, her lineage and her son with King Solomon founded the Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia. So I just wanted to kind of premise the conversation before I show this slide about the real tribe of Judah. That's going to be my pinpoint, and I'm going to get into some historical text also about the imposters as well. Judaism through history, communities, exile, and identity. The education overview of Jewish history, major communities, and different interpretations of biblical passages. The ancient Israel and Second Temple period, the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. There was no letter J at this point. I also want to point out in the Hebrew language, there are no vowels also. Their first exile was the Babylonian exile in 586 BC. They returned in the Second Temple period. The Second Temple period, for all my Masons out there, this is covering the Roar Ark period, or what's called the Red House, when they returned with the three new grandmasters, which would be Haggai, Zerubbabel, and Joshua. At this point, right here, upon the return, the Pharisees and Sadducees as Jewish major groups. Now, the Pharisees emphasize oral tradition, broader religious practices. The oral tradition at that point is known as the in Islam is called the Hadith, and this is known as the Midrash. It's called the Midrash. The Sadducees, the priestly or aristocratical group, focused on temple worship. This was the Levitical branch of the tribe of Levi. The Levitical branch were able to interpret a portion of the ancient Mizraim, or the ancient Egyptian hieratic manuscript, which gave them access to understanding some of the earlier religious practices. The New Testament records debates between Jesus and some of the members of both groups. I just gave you that citation in John 8:44. Synagogues of Satan in Revelation 2 and 9 contains the phrase synagogue of Satan. Most historians and theologians interpret those verses as referring to specific local conflicts in the first century Asia Minor. Asia Minor is Lower Asia, which would be the Mediterranean, North Africa, and parts of what's called the Middle East. But not all Jewish people, it says. Interpretation vary among religious traditions. Jewish diaspora, exile and migration timeline, 586, 70 CE, destruction of the Second Temple. You have the 1492 expulsion from Spain, and there's various other migrations and expulsions prior to 1492 that I'm pretty sure Crumb is going to cover as well. So I just want to kind of set the premise on what I'm going to be talking about as Crumb continue to give his measure as well. I yield the floor.
Well, you said a lot. I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit of all of it, if possible. So we brought up Jesus. We have to understand, family, press 000 if you understand Jewish people, generally speaking, in terms of the Orthodox, not secular, they don't like Jesus. So right now in America, there's something called Judo Christianity, which makes no sense because they don't bang with Jesus. And a part of Christianity, not even a part, the foundation, the cornerstone of Christianity is the belief in Jesus. They don't believe in Jesus. They don't like Jesus. They don't rock with Jesus. They don't associate with Jesus. They have very bad things to say about Jesus. So what you're going to find is that when you're dealing with Judo Christianity, it doesn't make sense. It can't be. These are two totally different religions. And it's funny that people say, "Oh, you're an atheist if you don't believe in Jesus." Well, uh, Jewish people don't believe in Jesus. So, I don't understand how these things even go together. So anyway, let's just, because the minister brought up Jesus, I want to bring this up. The 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 Jewish people, they start by getting enslaved by the Babylonians. This is the 6th century BCE. The Judeans were conquered by the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And number two, let's just skip to number two. I don't want to get too deep into it. The Achaemenid Empire, or the Persians. Then the Persians take over the Babylonians and they absorb the Jews, and now they're enslaved under the Babylonians. The Babylonians decide, hey, let my people go. They're going to let those people go. Fine, no problem. They let those people go. The Persians didn't enslave the Jews. In fact, often viewed as the empire that ended their exile. And the Persians were like, hey, now that we took over the Babylonians under the guy Nimrod, you may or may not know who Nimrod is. I'm sorry, excuse me, not Nimrod, Nebuchadnezzar. You may or may not know who Nebuchadnezzar is. We'll get into that another day. So they send them back over to their land. But at that time, their land had been, Romans had taken control over Judea. So what happened? During 70 CE, when the Romans took over Judea, there was a troublemaker in town. The troublemaker was Jesus. Let me see, can you see this? From a historical perspective, the premise that Jesus is blamed for the Jewish people being exiled by the Romans. Now, they're going to say it's inaccurate, but a lot of people are going to look at me. I haven't read this, as you can see. I'm going to read it right now. The Roman destruction of Jerusalem and the subsequent expulsion of the Jews did not happen because, let me see the third one. The Great Revolt. The Great Revolt, after the life of Jesus, Roman taxation, the fall of Jerusalem. Did Jesus lead a revolt? No, Jesus did not lead a revolt. Well, I'm going to have to challenge that. Jesus said, sell your clothes to get a sword. Jesus said in Luke 22:36, during the Last Supper, he had prepared his disciples for intense prosecution they would face after his arrest. So let's see what it says. Then he said unto them, but now he hath a purse. You got to have some money. Let him take it, and likewise his script. And he have no sword. Let him sell his garment and buy one. If you don't got a blicky, go sell those Jordans and buy you a blicky. Go sell that Gucci and go buy you I forgot what's the other term that the young boys call the guns. If you don't got a gun, go get you a gun. Let me bring up some more receipts. So he told them to go get their guns. Jesus said, I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. The phrase comes from the Gospel of Matthew in the Christian Bible. In this passage, Jesus says, do not, my question to you is, does anybody know what not mean? Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. Jesus come to bring peace. He said he didn't. I'm not saying, I'm just saying what Jesus said. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. He told them, go get your swords. If you don't got a blicky, go get you a blicky. Let me see anybody. If you don't got a Draco, go get you a Draco. If you don't got a switch, go get you a switch. I hope I'm talking in a way that the young folks can understand me. This is what Jesus says. Oh, Crumb, he said, go and pray. No, Jesus said, bust your gun. So anyway, a lot of people will say the reason Jesus was talking like this, to go get you a gun and he not bringing peace, is because Jesus led that revolt Remember, okay, since they're trying to argue with me, did Jesus upset the Romans? Yes, Jesus fundamentally upset the Roman authorities. The Jewish people were seen as troublemakers. The Jewish people were seen as troublemakers because they were paying taxes to Jerusalem, but not to Rome. In ancient Judea, the tension wasn't that Jews only paid Jerusalem, because that was called a tribute. We're not paying taxes, we're just giving a tribute, is what the Jews would say. It was that Rome aggressively extracted heavy tribute, while the Jewish people were also religiously obligated to pay a separate tax to the temple in Jerusalem. But this is the problem. Yo ass don't live in Jerusalem. Yo ass live under Roman occupation. So you don't have to pay Jerusalem nothing. That's like you and me being in America complaining about that we got to pay taxes here, and for the people that subscribe to the idea that we're from Africa, and we got to pay taxes to Africa. Obviously, here in America, they're gonna tell your ass, bitch, you not in Africa. So this whole I gotta pay taxes in Africa shit, I don't want to hear it. It's not where you from, it's where you at. And your ass is under Roman occupation, so you're going to pay Roman taxes. So with that said, they didn't want to pay taxes. They wanted to pay taxes or tribute to Jerusalem. And here come Jesus. And not only are they having problems because these people don't want to pay taxes, is what it ultimately comes down to. This double taxation deeply fueled anti-Roman rebellion. Not only did they not want to pay taxes, which was rubbing the Romans the wrong way, but Jesus is going to come into town. And remember, they asked Jesus about paying taxes. Before I tell you what Jesus said, because a lot of y'all was raised in the church, Crumb, I don't believe in that stuff. You was raised in the church. What did your preacher tell you that Jesus said about paying taxes to Caesar? Somebody in the listening audience, what did Jesus say about paying taxes to Caesar? Listening audience, somebody, I'll give you 5 seconds. Do 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 do. Time is up. Jesus, when they asked him, "Hey Jesus, the Jews are complaining about taxes. They don't want to pay taxes." What did Jesus say, family? Jesus said, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's." Family, so with that said, I'll land the plane here in terms of the Jesus part. The Jews were mad at Jesus because not only did they want to pay taxes, Jesus told him to pay to Caesar things that belong to Caesar. And give God things that belong. Ooh, true king. See, this is the thing about true king. True king is hitting on all cylinders. That man don't miss. Yeah, y'all remember Robin Hood where he was shooting the arrows and he was bullseye. That's true king. At any rate, Jesus added problems on top of problems because number one, they didn't want to pay taxes. That was the whole situation, 100%. But on top of that, Jesus comes into town. And not only does he say, yeah, we should pay taxes, which is going to piss the Jews off, but the Jews are going to tell you, according to the Talmud and the Zohar, is that Jesus was out there rebel rousing, telling people go get guns, telling people work on the Sabbath day, telling people we're gonna revolt. You out this bitch flipping tables in the church when we try to make our little bit of Pastor Pork try to get his little bit of change. And then because of you, we got kicked out of Rome. Because of you, there was a Roman exile. And they never forgave Jesus after that. One more point, minister, and then I'll land the plane. So the minister talked about Queen Sheba. If you go and look, the name Sheba is a very interesting name. Her name is Queen of Sheba. That's crazy. Now, number one, she wasn't even a queen. She was an empress, meaning more than one kingdom. So now her name is Sheba. Because this is important because we know the Jews are What are the Jews? The Jews are historically perception. Okay. Sheba means star. You are on the right track. While the biblical and Hebrew meaning usually translate to oath or seven, the name or the title legendary queen of Sheba is widely associated with the ancient word Egyptian word star. So Sheba means star. Now Sheba also Sheba also translates to Saba. You're exactly on the right track. Sheba are linguistic variations, except the same ancient place and historical figure. And when you're dealing with Saba, this is the people who follow Malachi Z. York. This is the kingdom of Saba. The people who follow Malachi Z. York are called Sabians. The people who follow, let me see if I can find it. The people who follow Malachi Z. York are called Sabians. Yes, that is correct. The followers of Dwight Malachi York refer to themselves as Sabians. Why Sabians? Because they're talking about the kingdom of Saba. Saba meaning star. What star, Crumb? The star called Saturn. Oh, we're the Sabians, meaning we're the star people. And what star are they talking about? They're talking about Saturn. Saturn's not a planet, it's a star. Remember, they told you there are the gas giants and the terrestrials. Saturn is a gas giant. These are the Saturn worshipers who you call the Jewish people. Oh, Jews, they be worshiping Saturn. The original Jewish people worshiping Saturn were the Sabaeans, or the Sabians. And this was a kingdom, not only in Ethiopia, but also in the Fertile Crescent of what we call Arabia. These are the Shemites, not the Semites, the Shemites. I want to land the plane on that, and we'll get to the rest that I got later.
No, you made some really good points actually. What you were talking about. Now going back to Sheba, and I don't want to beat a dead camel, but going back to Sheba real quick. Just want to point some out. She was the empress of of uh, of Ethiopia. True, but she was the queen of the entire land of Sheba. And again, Sheba encompassed Ethiopia, parts of today we call Foot, and parts of Egypt. So, and Crumb's absolutely correct. When you're emperor or empress, it is a much broader kingdom than just being a queen. Within a empire, which is the word empress and emperor represents an empire, you have several kings and queens within that dynamic. Now, what I want to touch on real quick is going back to the Roman joint of give Caesar unto Caesar what was Caesar. The Jews of that time, they were the tax collectors. That's why they had such a frenzy about paying taxes. They were the tax levies. Now, this is biblical narrative and human history, I like to call it. In human history, the Jews, again, I keep telling you, were barons and Lombards of Europe. And I'm going to show you this real quick. I'm going to go to something else. Going to use right now. We're in Rome. We're not in Europe. We're in Rome, Italy. For those of you who understand cartography or maps, we're in Italy right now. We're not up in northern Europa. Okay. In the Roman Empire, local Jews were indeed hired to collect taxes from their fellow citizens on behalf of occupying Rome government. This is also called a dehimi tax. A dehimi tax. Write that down. A dehimi tax. A dehimi tax also happened when Solomon Bar Isaac sent Godfrey of the Bullion, Walter the Penniless, and Peter the Hermit in to occupy northern Turkey and to construct the Temple of Solomon. Not Solomon's Temple. The Temple of Solomon and Solomon's Temple are two different situations. Solomon Bar Isaac then had to pay what was called a dehimi tax to the local Turks to occupy that territory. The agents were widely despised as traitors and exonerers of their countrymen. So the Roman Empire hired the Jews to collect taxes from other Jews within the Roman Empire. How the system worked. Rome did not use government employees for local tax collection. Instead, they auctioned tax gathering contracts to the highest bidder. The winning contract, often wealthy elites, back to the Sadducees and Pharisees, would employ local agents to do the actual day-to-day collection. Corruption and extortion. These collectors were expected to pay the Roman state the amount they had originally bid, but they were allowed to keep whatever extra money they could squeeze out of the populace. Many abused their powers, adding exorbitant fees and inflating property value to enrich themselves at the expense of their neighbors. This is exactly what they did post Civil War when they came down south. This is North America now. When they came down south after the Civil War as carpetbaggers and scallywags, they created credit for the local enslaved population, and they forwarded them credit. And when they could not pay their credit back, they would confiscate land, confiscate tools, mules, oxen, or whatever the case is, or just confiscate them as laborers, common laborers. This later became known as a debt tax, and this is anti-Islamic. Islam don't believe in doing things like that. So, social. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. Because they were foreign, Gentile power and regularly associated with them, Jewish tax collectors were deemed ritually unclean. They were frequently grouped together with the lowest class of sinners and thieves in Jewish society. That's not what I said. This is Googleable, in the words of the good brother Crumb. This is a Googleable thing. Now, let's see one more thing real quick. The Baron Wars. Now we're going to fast forward a little bit. We're going to go into the Kingdom of England. We're going to come out of the Greco-Roman kingdom and go into the Kingdom of England real quick and talk about the Baron Wars. I'm going to show you who the barons were in this century. And what you're going to see is just I hate to say it, but like everywhere they went, it was just chaos and mischief. So you could almost slightly understand the polemic when they were in Germany in the 30s and 40s of why they had to get out of Germany or be exonerated from Germany as well. Everywhere they went, they were causing havoc for some reason. The first Baron Wars, the first Baron Wars was a civil war in the Kingdom of England in which a group of rebellious major landowners, commonly referred to as barons. I'm going to click on the term baron and see where it takes us real quick. These are the barons. In the medieval kingdom, so you guys can see this real quick. Yeah. In the medieval kingdom of England, the feudal barony or barony by tenure, which could also be called fief or honor, held par bedrum, which specifically type of large honor. A fief made up of several lordships and generally held in a chief directly from the king, except that these honors were treated differently for the purpose of taxation. There's that tax again, and inheritance. While the words honor and fief and barony could be used flexibly, these barons were specially noted as physical records and roughly correspond to large fiefs and honor, which were created by the Norman dynasty between 1086 and the death of King Henry I. Now, what we want to do is, let's go here. The duties owed by the privileged and granted feudal barons are not exactly defined, but they are involved in the duty of providing soldiers to the royal feudal army on demand by the king and the privilege of attendance to the king's feudal court, magnum concilium, whatever that says, of parliament. And let's see if Google's going to play nice and allow us to the barons of Europe. Let's see what happens. Okay, it says not all of them, but a select number of permanent European families, individuals were elevated to barons and peerages. Most of these ennoblements, particularly among the banking, Lombards, and merchant families, occurred between the 18th and 19th century. Here we go. The Rothschilds or Rothschilds, they call them, were barons. The Rothschild or Rothschild family, the renowned banking dynasty, had multiple members granted baronial status by European monarchs. In the 1822, five brothers of the Rothschilds or Rothschild family were made barons of the Austrian Empire. Later in 1855, Baron Nathaniel Meyer Rothschild became the first Jewish person to be granted hereditary peerage in England. That means it goes on forever, hereditary. It goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Baron Maurice de Hirsch, in the 19th century, German Jewish financier and philanthropist. He amassed one of the world's largest fortunes by building railways in the Ottoman Empire and descended immense resources to Jewish agricultural colonial colonies in North and South America. Yes, yes, they had the colonies in North and South America. So I won't go any further. I just want to kind of touch upon that real quick because I always talk about barons and Lombards, etc., etc. Just want to kind of show the premise of how they were the tax collectors for the Roman Empire, and that kind of continued all through the medieval Europe, all the way through Common Era today. I yield the floor.
Yeah, the minister is all wise and exact, and I'm so glad that he ended the way he ended, because during the Middle Ages, many Jews in Spain, which technically wasn't a part of Europe at the time, it was Iberia, but I digress. Many Jews in Spain served as tax farmers and royal tax collectors. Collecting tax, taking people's money, obviously wasn't a thing that would garner you a bunch of friends. So instead of the king doing it, instead of the knights doing it, instead of the nobles doing it, which would make them unfavorable to the people, the serfs, the denizens, they got some other people to do it, because hey, you can hate them and nobody cares, right? So because the Catholic Church prohibited Christians from charging interest, Jewish communities were heavily involved in the financial sector. This role provided them with royal protection. Remember, Donald Trump was going to protect the Jews. Go ask Mark Levine. Go ask Jared Kushner. Go ask Bibi Netanyahu. They've always had protection from the king, from the higher ups. So now, if you go and look even deeper in medieval Europe, Jewish people were often pushed into tax collection. They were pushed into tax collection. Yeah, right. They didn't mind being the bad guys, but I digress. They were pushed into tax collecting and money lending because guilds, and public offices were restricted to Christians. Kings utilized them as intermediaries, middlemen, to collect
Hold on.
revenue. And
I'm sorry to cut your wisdom. Just want to point this out. Guilds, the guilds were Freemasons. There's another word for Freemason or free builder. Guild. Sorry, go ahead.
kings utilized them as intermediaries to collect revenue and issue loans because they served the crown. They often bore the brunt of public resentment during economic downturns. If you look now, I told the family this, and somebody tried to argue with me. Count von Count is a Jew. Family, this is Count von Count. Can somebody tell me what TV show he played on? This is Count von Count. Can somebody please tell me? See, this is the thing, family. You got to be this tall to ride this ride. If you got breast milk on your breath, if you got Similac, if you got Enfamil on your breath, then you might not know who this is, family. You might not be old enough to know. If you know, you know, right? So how did Crumb come to the conclusion that Count von Count is a Jew? Because Count von Count is an accountant. Family, he's an accountant. He lives in New York and he's an accountant, and he has a big ass juicy nose. That's a Jew all fucking day. So now, if you look, is Count von Count an accountant? Oh, he's a friendly math upset. He's obsessed with counting. Are Jews obsessed with counting? Obsessed is probably not the best word. Um, in Jewish tradition, the idea of counting is actually very complicated. In fact, Jewish law exclusively provides people counting people directly. All right, whatever. Do a lot of Jews, oh, I'm sorry, are a lot of Jews in New York accountants? Yes, there are many Jewish accountants in New York. So the Count, who is an accountant, lives in New York. Does Count Von Count have a Jewish nose? Images. Well, let's go back to all. Let's see what they say. Count Von Count does not have a canonical Jewish or human nose as a Muppet vampire. Um, are Jews famously associated with vampires? Yes, Jews are famously associated with vampires. Jews are, let's just look at this real quick. This right here is Nosferatu. Nosferatu is a fucking Jew. Look at that Jewish nose. He's a Jew all fucking day. Not only is he a Jew, he's a vampire. And we know Count Von Count is an accountant and he has a Jewish ass nose. So now, if you go here, the tax collector, I'm just trying to make it bigger. Jeez Louise. The tax collector in the 1973 Disney animated film is Sheriff of Nottingham. Family, what number we on? Press 111 if you remember. See, family? Crumb, I didn't read that book. Family, you got to tap into your childhood. You're going to have to tap into your child. Press 111 if you remember him. He was the evil tax collector. Crumb, I don't be reading a lot of books. Well, family, you're going to have to watch. You got to go back into your childhood and channel your memory from over a couple decades ago to remember to understand what I'm talking about. You got to be this tall to ride this ride. Crumb, I was born in the 90s. Well, you might not know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, family, but I'm not sorry. If you know, you know. So now this is the history of the Sheriff of Nottingham. Let me X this out. Because he was a tax collector, remember? The Sheriff of Nottingham was the evil tax collector. He was the bad guy in Robin Hood. Robin Hood takes place in the 13th century. Crumb, what happened in the 13th century? In the 13th century, you're going to see the Black Plague. That's towards the end of the 13th century. Let's deal with the beginning of the 13th century. Isaac is a very Jewish name. Isaac and Rebecca, sounds like the Bible, right? This is Jacob's daddy. Isaac and Rebecca, that was Jacob's mama and daddy. Remember Jacob, Jacob, and Esau? I don't know no Jacob, but you know Jacob and Esau though, right? Well, they mama and daddy was Isaac and Rebecca. Isaac and Rebecca weren't the first Jews to play roles in the Robin Hood story. One of the popular early tales recounted in ballads was the wicked sheriff of Nottingham who bore a grudge against Jews. Why was he mad at, remember, Europeans don't like Jews. Why was he mad at the Jews? Because he owed them a debt. The reason the sheriff of Nottingham was on your ass, the reason the sheriff of Nottingham was on your monkey ass is because he had a debt to the Jews that he had to pay. Owing a debt he carried with a Jewish moneylender. Keep in mind that at the time, the profession of moneylender was restricted to Jews, it being thought as too odious of a job for good Christians and one of the only professions sanctioned for the Jews. And that's what they say. Several times the sheriff would stir up hatred of Jews in and around Nottingham. That's the part of the movie. See, this is the thing. A lot of y'all didn't realize. A lot of y'all may or may not have known, because this is a Disney movie. Walter Disney didn't like Jews. Historical consensus that leading Disney biographies have found no Okay, fine. They're going to say that. They're going to say that Walter Disney was buddy-buddy with Werner von Braun. Crumb, you getting too deep. I don't know who Werner von Braun is. Yes, they absolutely were. So let's go to images. There he is, Werner von Braun. buddy buddy with Walter Disney. But Crumb, land the plane. Who the hell is Werner von Braun? Werner von Braun was a Nazi who came to America under Operation Paperclip. Ain't that something, y'all? Ain't that something? He was buddy buddy with the Nazis. Yes, Werner von Braun was a Nazi party member and SS officer who was brought to the United States under Operation Paperclip. Let me go to images because a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is the guy who brought you NASA. So now, after Werner von Braun comes to town, now all of a sudden Donald Duck is a Nazi. All of a sudden, Donald Duck is reading Mein Kampf. Hold on, family. Hold on, family. Hold on, family. But nah, Crumb, he won't know anti-Semite. Okay, that's very interesting. How come all of the old Disney movies, the bad guys seem to be Jews? Go back and look at all the old Disney movies. These animations, the first time you saw that animation with the three little pigs, it wasn't a wolf. It wasn't the sheriff of Nottingham, a wolf. It was a fucking merchant ass Jew. Not only are they going to be moneylenders, not only are they going to be barons, not only are they going to be tax collectors, but I don't know if I said this already, but they're going to be merchants. When I tell you guys about the happy merchant, you better tap in. So he was a fucking merchant before he was the big bad wolf. That's what you don't know. And every time I tell y'all, hey, listen, go look at the nose, go look at the nose, go look. Crumb, I can't tell a Jew from a white man. Look at the fucking nose. I said it before. I'm saying it now, and I'm not gonna stop saying it. It's a Jewish nose. All of your Disney bad guys have a Jewish nose. During eugenics, Hitler would measure people's noses. During eugenics, Hitler would measure your nose. That's why, black people got big lips and wide noses. Y'all know in the black community how our features are, but you don't know how the Jew feature is. But I'll tell you who did know. Your boy Walter Disney, the dude, because family, they're white people. No, the fucking Jew is a Turk. Go back and watch Aladdin. These are Turks with these big ass noses, and they're happy merchant. They're happy merchants with a big ass nose. They got a hunchback. They got these big beards, and they love to hold their hands together. If you know, you know. That's another one. Happy merchant Gargamel. Look how Gargamel looks, and then go look at the happy merchant. You think the elders weren't anti-Semites? You think Gargamel? Gargamel is just something from the imagination. Robin Hood, it's just something good. Aladdin. Family, they tried to tell. Press 333 if the elders like Walter Disney tried to told you. But with that said, I wanted to land the plane on these damn tax collectors. I yield the floor.
Hey, listen, man. We going. Listen. It's one of the best lives we done did in a long time, man. Y'all hit that goddamn cash app. Hit that share button, man. Hit that like button. We going in, man. Get these views up, man. Might be the last time y'all see us on this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Might fuck around and tell us to get up out of here. Did everything. You know what I'm saying? So listen, man. Hit that cash app. Just in case we got to pay for a whole nother live screen somewhere else because we might get booted off here. But hey, listen, we just reading the script, man. We ain't talking about nothing outside of showing you guys evidence that we talking about. Okay. So now you said a lot, and I want to piggyback on a couple points if I can remember all of them. What am I start? First thing I want to start premise is the guilds you said earlier. When you said guilds, I like, oh yeah, the guilds were Freemasons. Yes, the medieval guilds that Crumb referenced a second ago were indeed the origin of the Masons. So 357 True King, this is the origin story of Masonry. The guilds were the builders. Now the guilds were actually those in the royal art. Because if you're only I said it before, I say it again. I don't care. Go run tell your grandmaster. Go run tell your mammy. If you are only a third degree Mason, you are not a fucking Freemason. Fight me. Prove me wrong. Because I'm saying if you're only if you're above third degree, then it's another conversation. But if you're only a Blue House Mason, you are not a Master Mason. Oh yes, I am, man. I paid my dues. I went through the ritual. Shut the fuck up. I'm telling you, you're not a Freemason. If you know anybody that's a third degree Mason, only Blue House now, only Blue House. I ain't talking about the higher degrees above 3. If they're only 3 degrees, ask them what is the real password and watch their face. I'm not talking about the false password. I'm not talking about the one that you whisper in the ear. I ain't talking about that shit. That's the false pass. Tell them to give me the real password. And shit, I tell y'all the real password that you should listen for. If they don't say that, they're not real Masons. My point is, yes, medieval guilds were indeed the origin of Masons. During the medievals, stonemasons formed professional craft guilds to regulate their trade, establish skill level, and protect their closely guarded trade secrets. The transition from worker guilds to today's fraternal organization happened in several key ways that we're not going to go over right now. I'm just gonna give y'all a couple keys now. You got to unlock the door yourself. That's one when you said guild, that went off my brain. Like, oh yeah, I know who they were. Now, let's jump back to the Yiddish people. They had a hand in the Holocaust, and the Holocaust itself is a term that means burnt sacrifice. If you didn't know that, that's what that means. No point intended. That's what the definition says it is. Holocaust is a burnt sacrifice. This is what Abraham was about to do to Isaac. He was about to do a Holocaust or a burnt sacrifice. The elite Yiddish of Europe had a hand in the Jews dying in Germany. Is rooted in historical dissertation, primarily surrounding the Havara Transfer Agreement in 1933. However, anytime there's a however, there's some truth to it now. However, historical evidence contradicts that the narrative that this was an act of complicity in the Holocaust. You know what complicity means, everybody? That means that, yeah. That means the ones at the top, the same Sadducees and Pharisees that crucified Yeshua HaMashiach, also had a hand in crucifying some other people. Now, I'm not saying this. This is what the information says. All right? Listen to me now. Believe me later on in the future. And another point I want to touch on with this, what you call him from? The merchant? The merchant. Let's talk about the merchant. Now, so far, we have shown y'all this individual from the Roman Empire all the way now to 1865. That's how many centuries is that? 1, 2, that is a couple centuries. Since their origin story, they have been tied up in swindling people out of finances. So when you say when Jay-Z made his remark in his song, he was telling the truth. Hove made some sense, and Hove should know. Hove is very close with a lot of them. And I think Crumb started to go over some of those individuals in the music industry that we could point to as well. Nevertheless, carpetbaggers, Google always got a save face, right? Carpetbaggers were not exclusively Jews, although they were, not all of them. They were a diverse group of Northerners who moved to the South during Reconstruction. Reconstruction, people, was not them building buildings and building statues and building monuments. Reconstruction was reconstructing the history and reconstructing politics, because the South during 1866, 67, 68 to about 1871 was ran by Negroes. I'm going to say it again. From about 1867, 68 to about 71, about 4 or 5 year run, the South was ran by Negroes. The government of the South, the senators, the representatives, the congressmen. In fact, so many ran the South of Carolina, it was called the prostrate states of Carolina. All black government. This is where you get Hiram Rebels, the first senator from Mississippi, who was never a slave, ever. Brother. And he was also the first black president of the Confederacy. Challenge me, I dare you. Jefferson Davis was arrested in Fort Sumter, North Carolina, and South Carolina. You know who ran it for a short while? Hiram Rebels. Yes, sir. Anyway, carpetbaggers coming to the South, while some indeed Jewish merchants, there's a merchant word again, Crumb just talked about, the merchant, he showed you the face of the merchant. I'm going to show you what the merchant looked like in 1865 here in a second. Jewish merchant or businessman seeking economic opportunity. No, what economic opportunity? Which one? Taking over shit. Taking shit, what they were doing. Same thing they was doing during Jesus' time with the taxation of the Romans. Same thing they were doing during the Barren Wars. Same reason they got kicked out of Spain. The vast majority were non-Jewish Union veterans, teachers, and reformers. Let's take a look at this merchant that Crumb brought up in 1860, though. Ooh, boom, there he is. Wow. The image never changed. look at the nostrils. It never changed. It never changes. So, what other point I had a couple points while you was talking, bro. I was sitting here, I was sitting here adding them up. Like, ooh, good point, good point, good point, good point. Now I want to take you back for a second to the Temple of Solomon. Let's go back real quick. There's an individual by the name of Rabbi Solomon ben Isaac. Anytime you see the word ben or Bain, it means son of such and such. There's the word Isaac again, which is the son of Ibrahim. And I'm not going to say, well, he's not really Abraham's son. He was by way of immaculate conception. Ishmael is the only seed of Abraham out of his nuts. Isaac was immaculate when the angel told Sarah, when I come back, you're going to be pregnant. Just like I did Elizabeth and like I did Mary. Okay, just stand by. Anyway, the phrase you're looking for likely refers to Rabbi Solomon ben Isaac, known as Rashi, who was the greatest medieval commentator on the Hebrew Bible and the Talmud. The Talmud is the verbal version, just like in Islam, they have the Hadith. And in Christianity, have the New Testament, or what's called the Nova Testamentum, or what's called the Angel. This is just men talking, commentary. That's why in the New Testament, you get Paul talking, you get Mark talking, you get Matthew talking, you get John talking. In the Old Testament, the Most High talked. In the New Testament, God does not speak directly to man at all. Old Testament, God spoke to man. Adam, where are you? What you doing? What you got going on? Where your wife at? I mean, your sister. I mean, your wife. Your sister wife. Eve was his sister, you know. Where your sister at? I mean, your wife at. And the commentary, Rashi provided a foundational Jewish interpretation of the real Temple of Solomon and where it's located, because it was dedicated to him. This is the Temple of Solomon, not Solomon's temple. The Bible talks about Solomon's temple. This is the Temple of Solomon. Okay. The real location of the Solomon's temple. Masons pay attention. According to both biblical account, historical consensus, the first Temple of Solomon was built in the 10th century. In fact, it was built in 1199. Was located at Mount Moriah in Jerusalem. Historical connection in his commentary in Genesis 22, 1-2, Rashi explicitly identified the land of Moriah as Jerusalem or Jerusalem. Yahweh, city of peace, is two words, salam right here. It means peace. Jah. It says Jah right here. This is the English spelling, but it's supposed to be Jah. Jah Salam. Jerusalem. He noted that this is exact same location where Abraham prepared the sacrifice or the Holocaust of Isaac, and where King David later purchased the threshing floor to build the altar. And this is referring to King Solomon's temple. The physical site today is known as the Temple Mount, and a specific prostration of the bedrock where the Holy of Holiest. Masons, remember that? The Holiest of Holiest, the third chamber, the Sanctum of Sanctorum of Solomon's temple once stood, is believed to be housed under the Dome of the Rock. The Dome of the Rock is now, it belongs to the Muslims. It's a story behind that too. Rashi commentary on the temple. Rabbi Rashi ben Isaac Rashi did not build the physical temple, but his commentary forms a bedrock of traditional Jewish textual studies, and so on and so forth. So you have two temples. You have the Temple of Solomon that the Masons know about, which is the parable of the building of the Solomon Temple. Then you have the actual Temple of Solomon's temple, which is Solomon ben Isaac. It's his temple, and he hired. I say this a lot. Hold on, Isaac, Taz, God, free of the Boolean. Spell that right. The Boolean. Godfrey de Bouillon, sorry. Just folklore. It was actually Christian Crusader Godfrey de Bouillon. Okay, they read that wrong. Who sought great French scholar Rabbi Solomon ben Isaac Rashi. So that's the connection between Godfrey de Bouillon, and he sent Godfrey de Bouillon, Walter the Penniless, and Peter the Hermit to occupy that territory during the First Crusades, to take over the land in northern Turkey to build his temple. This is another Yiddish person that I wanted to point out. And I have one more thing to point out, then I'm going to pass the mic. Let's talk about symbolism real quick. Symbolism. You guys are fully aware of the symbolism of earth, fire, water, and air. That is the symbol you look for. This is the symbol right here of what's known as the Star of David. The elements. These are just the four elements combined. And when they're combined, they're called the ether star. This is not the Star of David. It's called the Shield of David, which represents the primordial man of the first man. Let's start over. That star you see is not a star. It's a shield, which represents the four elements: fire, water, air, and earth. When you put them together, they form what you see that looks like the Star of David, but it's actually four symbols in one. Okay? And those four symbols in one, when combined, represent the primordial man, or the first man. This is Kabbalistic teaching. So that's not a damn star on the top of Saturn you're looking at and all that kind of stuff. They're talking about the etheric being, the first being that was here, who they pay tribute to. Then to do with Saturn, we have to stop repeating what we be hearing and do the research. Okay? Is there a symbol like this on? Maybe. There's no Saturn. There's no Mars. There's no Mercury. They ain't showed y'all one damn picture of none of these planets. They show y'all cartoon sketches and some old pixelated ass photos. You got to ask yourself, people, you can't take pictures in outer space. You cannot take pictures in outer space. Why can't you take pictures in outer space, M.O.I? Because of the magnetic radiation would distort the whole goddamn photo. That's why. Anything past the Van Halen belt, the exosphere, first of all, we hadn't got past the exosphere. But anything between the exosphere and the stratosphere, there's a electromagnetic. Let me show you real quick. Electromagnetic field in space. See that? That's why you can't take pictures up there. Anything with batteries or photos or anything electronic won't work up there. It'd be distorted. Okay. The only thing that would stop this would be a strong ass EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and we don't have anything that can stop that EMP to get outside the Van Halen belt, or what's called the exosphere. Never have got out of there. That's the top of the dome, people. Outside of that, it's just radiation everywhere. So the fact that y'all believe that these Caucasians are up there just walking on the moon and walking, they can't even take the radioactive frequency of the sun on Earth while they're here. They damn sure can take it up there. There's a lot of it up there, tons of it. All right. So I went left. I want to bring it back right before I yield the floor. Back on my PowerPoint real quick. I only got like 4 more slides on here. Major Jewish communities. Beta Israel, historic Jewish community of Ethiopia. We talked about Ethiopia. We talked about the Queen of Sheba, or Markita, Empress of Ethiopia. Right. This is that bloodline right here. They're still around today, by the way. They're there. Beta means alpha, beta. That means they were first. Before everybody started claiming it and going through natural selection, other process, they were the first ones. You also have the crypto Jews, Jews who secretly maintain Jewish practice after the forced conversion, especially in Spain and Portugal. Now, these are not, let me show you when I say crypto Jew, just so you know what I'm talking about. Hold on. I can find the photos real quick. There we go. I'm gonna look. Just that ain't it. Get ready. Hold your horses, okay? These are crypto Jews. Before I show you this picture, what makes a crypto Jew are those who got sent out of Spain. Now, in the time of Spain, Crumb mentioned earlier, it was called Andalus. Okay, Andalus was not called Spain, as he pointed out earlier. It was the occupation of quote unquote Moors. The Moors was a subculture of both Jewish and Arabic, or Islam and Judaism together, coexisting. Okay, you're talking about some mathematicians. The Moors invented geometry and high science. Okay, so these particular Jews did not look like what you think they look like when I use that term. They look more like this, and this is who they were. Booyah! And that's why you have that shield back there in the background. It says the Moorish Zionist temple. Y'all know what Zion is? Zion is Jerusalem. These are crypto Jews. We don't have time today going down a rabbit hole. Just trust me. These are the crypto Jews. Crypto means in private, in secrecy. If you were more under Islam or Judaism in Spain in 1492, you had to convert to Catholicism. This was the deal. This was the deal that was made, contractual deal that was made. You either converted or you died. Expulsion was maybe plan B. Plan A, we're going to kill you. You stop, put the assalamu alaikum my ass. Put that down. Pick this Bible up. And under various edicts, they went around the world with the same expression: Christianity or die. These are the crypto Jews right here. So as I said, the real tribe of Judah between Beta Israel and between the crypto Jews I'm showing you right now, you choose for yourself who are the real jewels of God. I'm not saying anything. And the great words, my brother Crumb, before I pass the mic, I can only tell you where to look and not what to see. Oh, is that right, Crumb? I said it right. I can only tell you what to see, not where to look. Correct me, because I want to fuck that up.
A good teacher doesn't tell you what to see. They can only show you where to look.
Here we go, Islam. I yield the floor.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly, when we talking about this happy merchant figure, and this is my my fake book page. Let me see. Just a real quick plug. I'm at 257,000, a little bit over 250,000. The numbers don't matter. Let's just be real. But as you can see right here, wrong button. I didn't mean to hit that. This is my post from March 14th, March, April, May, June, just 3 months ago. This one picture has 184 likes, but the post itself has over 7,000 likes. But yeah, this is the the happy merchant. And I get so tired of black people. Lord knows I really do. Because a lot of times our brothers and sisters are just following these trends and whatever's popular and whatever's cool. Oh, Crumb, they not Jews. The Jews is really black people. Jews are white people. Family, as you can see, this is a fucking this is them. This is them 2000 BC. That's not a white man, okay? That's not a black man, okay? So let's go. That's 2000 BC. That's 19th century BC. I'm sorry, AD, but let's just say 19th century. That's 20th century. Notice the nose and the hands are together. It's all based off that. So that very first picture I showed you, oh, Crumb, y'all be on the internet, AI and making up different fake photos. Nah, family, ain't nobody making up nothing. So his name is Anan Atum. Yeah. Like the Atum from fucking Egypt, right? Anan Atum, which is Anan Natum, the son of Akurgal. So let's go look at your daddy. See what your daddy look like. That's your daddy. Family, a good teacher can't tell you what to see, only where to look. You tell me, what is the most distinguishing feature on his goddamn daddy? The most distinguishing feature on his daddy. I don't want to hear nothing about these Jews being black. I don't want to hear nothing about these Jews being white. So now, when we go and look on where these dudes are at, this is Sumeria. This is the Fertile Crescent. This is Arabia, a little bit south of the Turkish land. Basically, they're in the Fertile Crescent. They're in the Middle East, and you see his hands are together. Why do they pose like that? They've been posing like that for the last 3,000 fucking years. I don't knows. You don't knows. Matter of fact, don't nobody knows except the nose. And the funny thing is, the nose is the ID of the face, as it's the most distinctive figure on the face. The nose is undeniably a defining facial landmark because it protrudes and sits at the dead center. It drastically dictates facial harmony and proportion. Your nose is the fingerprint of your face. Remember, a lot of statues have the nose missing. It's true that many ancient statues are missing their nose. What a coinky dink, right? So now when we look at certain peoples, we can tell who they are by their nose. Aryans have a particular type of nose. I want to type Aryan. Let's just type it in. Aryans. When you look at these area, people say, "Oh, Michael Jackson wanted one of these." No, oh, you got the Michael Jackson white people nose. We know that they're not white because Hitter told you the Aryan has a particular type of nose. It's very pointy. When I was a kid, we recognized that white people had pointy noses. These people are not white. They don't have a pointy nose. Their nose, I think, is alkaline nose. It's not alkaline. There it is. Aquiline. Aquiline. The Romans had a particular type of nose, but these other people have a different type of nose. See, this is what we call phenotype. Phenotype is the physical expression of your genes. Oh, I'm black. Well, there ain't no black gene. But if you look at all of the genes collectively, then we could say this person is black. Well, because they've been kicked out of expelled, because they've been expelled from so many different countries. And see, this is one thing the minister told y'all. And it was funny back then. Let, let me see if I can find it. Moses hashtag Crumb TV. Let's see if I can find it. Hopefully it'll come up. Hopefully it'll come up. And it looks like it's not coming up. So the minister had did something on Moses, and it was just super duper funny. It was super funny. Where, hold on. Yep, this is it. Found it. Yay. All right. I'm gonna hit love on this, and I'm gonna hit audio, and I gotta reshare this a different way so you guys can hear it, because this thing is heat rock. The minister was he was really funny in this video, and I've got to just put it out there really quick before I pass the mic. Share screen, share audio on. Here we go, Moses. All right, listen to this. Take your notes if you want, or just go get the video. It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
When you see Moses and the children of Israel, they say, and we have to tell the story the right way. Everybody didn't leave.
Now
When you see Moses and that story with Moses, a lot of Israelites stayed in Egypt. Like, we got it good here, bro. We're not going nowhere. I got a condo by the fucking Nile River. I'm straight. I'm gonna go wandering nowhere with you, crazy. 40 years. That means the ones who left Egypt originally with Moses died. The children made it to the promised land. Come on now. The ones who came out of Egypt were so inoculated with the Egyptian religion and tongue, and that's why they made Aaron build the bull calf, Hathor, right? To worship a golden bull calf, because that was Hathor. They just seen Hathor for 400 years. Right. They know who Hathor was. Right. You know what I mean? They don't know who this new God that Moshe is on Mount Nana Sin talking to.
Crumb TV.
When you see Moses,
the point, classic material, and I'll land the plane on this. These people, when they get expelled or when they leave or whatever the narrative is, not everybody leave, family. Some of them stay in Egypt. Some of them stay in Rome. Some of them stay in Spain. Some of them stay in Poland. So they're going to take different features of the locals. But the one feature, just like with the black person, I don't care if the black person have a baby with any other race, they're going to have certain features that are still going to be black, no matter what people they amalgamate. No matter what people they amalgamate with, they're going to keep that nose. I yield the floor.
Damn. Yeah, you brought up a classic joint there. So I got a couple more slides, and I'm gonna pass the mic. So when we're talking about these individuals, I'm preference again going back to how I opened up the story dealing with the what was that John 8:44 and Revelation 3:8. Revelation 3:9 and Revelation 2:9. You have the Ashkenazis, you have the Sephardines. Ashkenazis and Sephardines. What's the other one? I'm missing one.
The Khazars. The
Khazars, Ashkenazis, the Sephardic or Sephardines, and you have the Beta Israel. Okay, so you have four different sect, S-E-C-T, for spellers out there that we're talking about. The Ashkenazi Jews, a Jewish community historically centered in Central and Eastern Europe. Where's my tab at? There we go. Jewish history is diverse and global. Different Jewish communities develop distinct cultures and traditions. Historically, and biblical texts should be examined within their historical context with reliable sources. That's the end of my PowerPoint. I had to plug this in there so people can see that we're not, we're not slighting nobody. This is not anti anything at all. It's not anti-Semitic. This is not anti-phonetic, whatever the case is. Which I forgot who had made the point. It's like, how can we be anti-Semitism when we are the Semites? Okay, people often say, "Oh, that's just semantics." It's actually phonetics, not semantics. We're talking about the Sumerians and the Phoenicians. People say, "Oh, hooked on phonics, hooked on phonetics or phonetics," the vocalizing of it. Kanye, you're right. Kanye did say that. Kanye, thank you. Kanye did say that. Kanye said, "How can we be anti-Semitic when we are the Semites? Like, that doesn't make sense at all." I wanna pull this up real quick. I'm not sure if you're going to get on this or not, but I want to pull this up real quick to bring us to current day. If you have anything else historically, Duff can dive back on that too. Hold on, let's see. Because you brought this up earlier today, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" Joins. Let's see here. If I can get an article pulled real quick. All right, here we go. And I'm gonna let Crumb also speak on this as well. He more versed than I am this right here. U.S. Congress. We're in 2027, y'all. The U.S. Congress is advancing a legislative proposal to deeply integrate U.S. and Israel militaries, specifically Section 224 of the proposed 2027 National Defense Authorization (NDAA) introduces the United States Israel Defense Technology Corporation incentive, which requires both countries to align on research, weapons, and co-production of data fusion. That's right, your information will be shared with them. The following key details outline the status of military integrations: the technology and data integration, the legislative pass, that means law. Legislative means law, in case you guys didn't know that. Wider operational context: this proposed long-term integration follows joint U.S. Israel military action and a wider operational buildup in the Middle East. The U.S. and Israel previously coordinated during multi-week regional conflict, which involves strikes and targeting our Iranian position. Good brother, you want to bring us up to speed on this since you pointed this out earlier? I didn't say I didn't believe you, but I was like, nah, he lying. No, this is a real thing. This is happening. Is there anything that we should be aware of, or you think that? Do you think this is some type of fulfillment of prophecy that you brought up a little bit earlier? I'm with your mic, bro.
Sorry about that. Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be the tinfoil hat guy. I don't want to be the get my news off of TikTok. I don't want to be the, "Oh, yeah, I saw it on the internet." Once you say you saw it on the internet, you lose all credibility, family. If you get your news, now I'm not against it, because that's where I get my news from. But if you tell somebody, "Yeah, I got it off Facebook, I got it off Instagram, I got it off X," nobody's gonna because these sources aren't canon, meaning they're not acceptable at the scholarly level. You're not going to go to, remember when we were kids, we had to do works cited. You're not going to work cite and say, John on Facebook, or, "Hey, Crumb TV on Facebook, that's the source." No, you sound like a quack. So MSN is a reputable source. Do I like MSN? No, but it is a reputable source. So, according to MSN, Congress advances unprecedented U.S. Israel military integration plan. This is 5 days ago. Technically, this is breaking. Now, remember, me and the minister, anytime we talk, we're going to talk 3,000 years ago. So, this for 5 days ago, that's breaking news.
Right. No, seriously.
Right. Because a lot of times we're in the Bible, we're ancient or Enuma Elish.
Right.
Right. So 5 days ago is pretty recent. So let's just kind of click this link and let's see what they say. Boom. Is it going to show? Yep. Congress advances unprecedented U.S.-Israeli military integration plan. Basically, what's going to happen, or what they're basically saying, is the American military and the Israeli military are going to become one military, which is Ashra Kwesi. Ashra Kwesi is this dude from the conscious community. So I apologize if that comes off as picking on him, because it kind of is. So I apologize. But ultimately, that's what we're looking at. So now, why is this important? Because seven-headed dragon. What we're seeing is the formation of a dragon, and this is the Leviathan. These are the forces against Jesus. Jesus told you about this seven-headed dragon. Jeez Louise, I hit the wrong button. Jesus told you about this seven-headed dragon. Jesus wasn't crazy about the seven-headed dragon. And I want you to know, because this right here is according to the Enuma Elish with Inky and Enlil in the gang. There's the seven-headed serpent. I don't know where this artwork is particularly from, this one right here, but again, that's the seven-headed serpent. We're going to see it. I don't know where this reference is from, but again, we're going to see this seven-headed serpent with one body. And according to, because I like to do the comic book or the cartoon references, it's also going to be Hydra. Hydra. I gotta. Oh, Marvel. Here we go. Well, this is one head with several whatevers, but Hydra, if you cut one head off, the other will grow back. Ultimately, what we're seeing, long story short, as if that's a thing for us, it's really not. Long story short, is what you're seeing is the first two heads of the dragon come together. This dragon will be one entity with seven different heads, and they all have crowns. Look at the serpent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All seven heads have crowns. Why? Because they are all royalty. What we are seeing is the first two heads of the seven-headed dragon. So right now, the first head, we already know the first head is America. This is America. Da 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 da. I forgot how that song go. The second head is Israel. The third head is probably going to be one of these European forces. So on and so forth. During World War II, we called these the Allied powers. These seven heads to this one dragon are now being initiated with America and Israel. Remember, when we talk about a dragon, this is a fighting dragon, fire-breathing dragon, not the dragon that our ancestors had with the Kundalini fire serpent. This is a military unification. Outside of the Allied forces during World War II, you've never seen a military unification, because we are all individually sovereign countries. But when we join forces, this is on some Power Rangers shit, family. And I really hate to do this because this is just what I've been doing all night. Press 444 if you remember when the Power Rangers would all come together. No, matter of fact, not Power Rangers. I'm tripping. Voltron. It was Power Rangers may have done it. It's been so long. I kind of wasn't into Power Rangers growing up, but I was definitely into Voltron. Press 444 if you remember when Voltron came together. And it was a military operation. All of the entities came together and they formed one big military operation. And what we're seeing is the first two pieces of this evil Voltron empire coming together. This is where Darth Vader, and I don't know why I keep doing all of these pop culture references. When Darth Vader met Counselor Palpatine, it's Chancellor, my apologies, images. This is when Darth Vader met Chancellor Palpatine, an unholy union of a military force combining. This is the seven, these are two of the seven heads that the Bible told you about. Our government has been infiltrated. This is a true statement, family. It's called Zog. What is Zog? Oh, Zio occupied government. This is a Zio occupied government. And at first they told you it was these far right, neo, whatever, supremacist, white supremacists, blah, blah, blah. But now you're seeing it in real life. Never forget, in 2020, Donald Trump gave Benjamin Netanyahu the key to the White House. Yes, on September 15th, 2020, Donald Trump presented Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with a ceremonial gold key to the White House. Why the hell would you give a foreign country the keys? Listen, when I was a kid, I was a latchkey kid. Press 555 if you were a latchkey kid, meaning by the time your ass got out of school, your mama was still at work. So when you got out of school, you had a shoestring with a key around it, tucked inside your shirt, and won't nobody supposed to know you had that key. And your ass would sneak to the house, unlock the door, and you wouldn't open that door for nobody, not even Jesus. I don't care if Jesus came to the door. You better not open it. You better not answer my door. My mama told me that. Your mama told you that. The minister of people told him that as well. He gave this Negro, well, he not a Negro. He gave this ninja a key to the house. So this was 2020. Now he gave him access to the military. Nah, bro. This is the seven-headed dragon prophecy that they told you about in Revelation coming into fruition. These are the first two heads of the dragon. This is the Zio occupied government in real time. One more point and then I'll land the plane. And I shared screen the wrong way. Or yeah, I did. Let me get this out the way. Stop share again, and I'm gonna share the other way where you can see all my tabs. Okay. Not only that, the White House unveils first ever government-wide strategy for countering Jew hatred. Family, when I got my channel knocked off is when I first realized, because we would come on a platform and we would say every bad thing you could say about every black leader. I remember when the minister had dug a hole in the Marcus Garvey chest, I thought we was going to get taken down for that. I remember I made a video called Why I'm Racist and I Hate White People and all types of stuff. I thought I was going to get taken down for that. All of that stuff went under the radar. The second my ass start talking about the Jew is when they took me down. Family, there's a saying. You'll know who's in power because that's the people you can't talk about. Let's see what they say. The sentiment is an adaptation of the famous observation from often mistaken attributed to the Enlightenment philosopher Voltaire. The original phrasing is widely documented as the originating from 1993 radio broadcast by American white nationalist Kevin Outridge Strom. The phrase suggests that the true power lies in with those whose actions, authority, or influence are shielded from public scrutiny or dissent. You can't, images, let me see. During the prime of the USSR, you couldn't talk bad about the government. Let me go to all. Public criticism of government was strictly illegal in the USSR. Whoever is in power, you can't talk bad about them. You'll know who's in power because those are the people you can't talk bad about. I talk bad about black people, nothing happened to me. I talk bad about white people, nothing happened to me. When I talk bad about that Jew, they came down on my ass like a firestorm on Sodom and Gomorrah. Amen. So now what you're seeing is unprecedented. I'm not saying this is just some random organization. This organization is based inside the White House. The strategy includes 100 actions of administration the administration will take to raise awareness of anti-Semitism and its threat to American democracy, protect Jewish communities, reverse the normalization of anti-Semitism, and build a cross-community solidarity. This is not a threat to American democracy. And this is the thing that frustrates me. I remember when Joe Biden came out with that thing to protect Chinese people in America, and black people were like, "Wow, we're going to protect Chinese people, but black people aren't a protected class in America. We need that protection. Tearing down black people is a threat to democracy." And I'm not out here playing victim or nothing like that. But let me say this: the U.S. Department of Justice to launch anti-Semitism advisory committee and 15-city tour. These people are coming to a city near you. And if somebody says that you got something bad to say about the Jew, family, who is it? It's Bibi Netanyahu. Is Crumb there? If you get jammed up, don't
Damn.
mention my
Get jammed up. Don't mention my name. Damn. Damn, that's what I want to try. Hold on. Let me see. I had one more joint to pull here because as you was talking about that, did you know this right here? Here's a fun fact.
damn Gina.
Yeah, just because you guys were not aware of that. That's a fun fact. Congress has a higher percentage of Jews than the general U.S. population. Once again, of the 71 members of Congress who do not identify as Christians, 32 are Jews. A new Pew study shows, meanwhile, 9% of Senate is Jewish, though Jews only make up 2% of the overall U.S. adult population. 2% of the population, and they are a higher percent in Congress, which means anything that goes through your legislation, anything that goes through your judicial branches of government, they have a hand in it. And it's pretty much been going on since the beginning of time, as we just showed you. So I think we've done a good job for this evening. We're at the minute and 47-second, 40-hour and 47-minute mark. Unless you want to continue going or you got some more to add, because I mean I can keep going. I just want to see what you got, because I'm following your lead on this right here. This is something you brought up earlier. I got excited about it, started doing a whole lot of studying last time we discussed it. I still want us to deal with the music industry at some point, bro. Like we have to do that, man. Like we don't went balls to the wall on this right here, so we got to do it ASAP before they pull the plug on us.
Yeah, on that note of them infiltrating government, family, and I really hate to beat a dead horse, and I would really love to believe that I hate to beat a dead horse, because the way I do it, you would think I loved it. The way I beat these horses, you would think I loved it. Where have you heard about these Jews coming in, infiltrating government? Starting from the bottom, now we hear
Joseph, son of
Yakub.
Yep, son
Well,
of
okay, Israel. I call him Yakub. Y'all can call him whatever y'all want.
Damn, forgot about JoJo.
Joseph started from the bottom. Remember, Jake is a Jew. Started from the bottom. Now we hear he starts from the bottom and he infiltrates his way, literally, and he infiltrates his way to the top of the government. He's second to the king or to the pharaoh. Joseph started from the bottom as a slave and moved up to second in line to the king. They have a knack. And oh, Cromwell, this is in America. You're just looking at it the wrong way. Nah, this was and family. I really hate to do this to you, but the minister and I, we don't deal with current events because if you know, like we know, history is repeating itself. Well, to those who don't know history, and apparently nobody knows history because it's still repeating itself. Oh, but Crumb, Joseph was the good guy. Oh, really? Joseph was the good guy? Well, let's check the receipts. Exodus chapter 1, King James Version. So okay. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. They foreigners, they're the settlers, the colonizer. Every man in his household came from Jacob. And the minister called him Israel. Fine. I'm going to call him Yaqub. That's just me. And I'm not going through all their names. And all the souls that came from their loins, every person that came out of this bloodline of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. He was the dream reader, right? So now Joseph died. He's gone. He's dead. Vamoose. And all his brothers and all of that generation, they're all dead. Go back and watch the movie Life when Eddie Murphy had to read that letter to Jengaling. Your mama died, the cat died, the turtle died, Auntie Man died. All right, anybody want to read it?
And the dog got worms.
Right.
The dog got worms. Damn.
So everybody dead. Everybody's gone from that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Joseph is gone. He's not reading nobody dreams no more. There is no Miss Cleo ass nigga. He's gone. Why is that important? Now there arose a new king of Egypt. He's not having no nightmares, 7 skinny cows, 7 fat cows, famine this, famine that. The new king, which knew not Joseph. Don't nobody know about no Sammy Davis Jr. and the Rat Pack and all these old family. I barely know who fucking Jay-Z. I know people who don't know who Tupac is. Nobody know about no goddamn Joseph. That time is done. This new king said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. What did the minister say? The minister said, behold, the people in Congress are more than the people of the country. Remember, these people in Congress, they have dual citizenships. They're really Israeli ops. History is repeating itself, but only for those who don't know history. Come on. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies. If one of these people pop off against America, they're going to join our enemies and fight us with the damn enemy and fight against us. And so let's get them the F out of here. That's in the Bible. Okay, that's not in the Bible. They didn't say let's get them the F out of here, but he said let's get them up out of here. Let's get them up out of the land. Sound like grandma, right? Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses, whatever. But they more afflicted them, blah, blah, blah. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. They made their lives bitter with hard bondage. There's that word, bondage. In mortar and in brick and all the manner of service in the field. They put them in bondage in the field. Hold on, Crumb, because this is sounding like niggas in America. Bondage in a field?
The real jewels.
The real jewel. Anyway, all their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. They were mean slave masters who made them work hard in the field. And
Wait. I thought they built the pyramids.
Yep. Uh-oh.
Keep going.
Uh-oh. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one of was whatever, and the name of the other one was something else. And he said, when ye do office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, see them upon the stools. If it's a son, then ye shall kill him. Remember, they told you. What did Herod tell you when he found out about Jesus? If there's a boy born from now to the age of 2, unalive him. Get him out of here. That's what Herod said. The same thing that Pharaoh said to, with Moses and the gang. Why did Moses get sent up the river in a wicker basket? Because Pharaoh said, kill the kids.
I
Same,
want to. I'll make a quick point. Let me cut your wisdom. The same thing happened in Exodus 12:29 when God, and at midnight, the Lord killed every firstborn male in Egypt, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh who ruled the land to the firstborn son of the prisoner in jail. That was Exodus 12:29 when God did it to Pharaoh. Now Pharaoh is putting the punishment upon the Israelites. Continue though.
Does Exodus chapter 1 sound a little bit like Planned Parenthood? Exodus chapter 1 tells the story of the Hebrew midwives who committed civil disobedience for defying the king. Uh, while while both of the biblical narrative and Planned Parenthood deal with reproductive issues, the cores are opposite. Whatever. I don't care if the cores are opposite or not. Exodus chapter 1 is the same damn thing as Planned Parenthood.
It's definitely
So
eugenics.
you got eugenics, you got Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, you got a people who have infiltrated the land. So now when the minister tells you that these people have zogs, the Zio occupied government, where have I heard that story before? I yield.
Okay, I'm pointing this out real quick. All great points. Now, remember, Crumb just pointed out that these people were in the ancient land of Mizraim. Why am I saying Mizraim and not Egypt? It was not called Egypt until the Greeks came along. Some say it was called Yakupta, according to people like what's the boy name? I can't think of his name right now. But anywho, the Mizrahites or the Egyptians, as you guys want to call it that, we have to keep in mind that these are two distinct time periods. We have ancient Egypt, which was the time of King Doja and the darker black African Egyptians. Then you have more modern Egypt, which is the time modern, the time I'm talking about right now, when the Pharaoh, some say it was Ramesses the second or the first, who caught wind of all these Jews multiplying, like, hey, there's too many of them, and we don't heard y'all story. We know how y'all get down. Okay, we got to get them out of here. Okay, and from that time of Joseph in Egypt with these individuals, they multiplied for 380 years into the time of Moses. Moses is 380 years from Joseph. Now we understand what's happening. Moses comes up the Nile River from the kingdom of Cush, come up the river to Egypt. He's born. The Bible says Moses is learned in all the ways of the Egyptians. In the words of Crumb, how much is all, everybody? All. Religion, the metaneter, the hieroglyphics, the cuneiform, the clay tablets, the papyrus, the reed paper, all that shit. He knew about Happy. He knew about Hotep. He knew about the Ankh. He knew about all that shit. Moses did. Likewise, the Jews who were there, or Israelites who were there, knew everything about for 400. We've been in America. We supposedly, the African Americans, have been here. Now, we have not been here for 400 years. First of all, America is only 278 years old as a country, so I don't know where the 400-year story comes from. But hey, whatever. 400 years, any place, that's generation upon generation upon generations. Crumb done the math already before to tell you how many years to a generation. Divide that by 400. That's how many generations were in Egypt. But if you go study, they were not called Hebrews. They were known as Hyksos. The biblical account of Joseph in the historical period of the Hyksos are closely linked, both scholarly debate and ancient tradition. However, the exact historical relationship between the remains remains a subject of intense discussion amongst archaeologists and historians. The traditional connection, the association between Joseph and the Hyksos, largely stem from the writings of the ancient Jewish historian Josephus of the first century. He's a credible source. Nobody's ever met him. I've never seen a picture of him. I don't know who this nigga is. But Josephus is supposedly a credible scholar of Jewish literature. And the ancient Egyptian historian Metho of the 3rd century BCE, the shepherd king theory. Josephus identified the Hyksos as the Israelites. Josephus, who's a credited Jewish scholar, has identified, I'm doing air quotes, you guys can't see it, my camera's off, but the Israelites or the Jacobites are equated to Joseph's rise of power with the period of Hyksos rule in Egypt. He believed the term Hyksos means shepherd kings, a fitting description for the pastoral Israelites and Joseph's brothers, who were granted the land of Goshen to tend their flock. That's in the scriptures, that's facts. Etymological clues. The first notable Hyksos ruler, Selentus, phonetically resembles the Hebrew title Shelent, which means governor or ruler, the exact title given to Joseph in Genesis 42:6. So we have identified these Israelites on your paper. I forgot to tell you this, by the way. Pen and pad gang should be in the building already. Y'all, we've been here for an hour. Pen and pad gang, take notes. Do a T-chart. At the top of the T-chart, put Israelites. To the right-hand side, put Hyksos. To the left-hand side, get another name to put up there real quick. Y'all ready? So you have this conversation with those Hebrew Israelites. Ask them about these people right here as well. So now, excuse me, we identified the Hyksos. They were also called Habarus. Write down the word Habaru. The Hyksos and the Habaru or Aparu are not explicitly names in such of the Bible. However, historians and biblical scholars and archaeologists, those are 3 different disciplines: historians, biblical scholars, and archaeologists. Frequently, mean most often, probably means all the fucking time, link these groups to the narrative of the Israelites. So now I have identified, you have identified, quote unquote, the Israelites as being both Hyksos and Haparu. Check. I'm not going to move forward. Type the word check in the comments. C-H-E-K. I'll make sure you guys are following me. Type the word check if you're following me. Habaru, Hyksos. Check. Give you guys a second. It's a 3-second delay, I think, in this thing. So just type the word check in the comments if you're with me so far. I'm identifying the Israelites as Hyksos and Habaru, so you can stop calling them Israelites. Please. You saying Israelites, thank you, Jack. You saying Israelites to Crumb Point, you're calling them Jacobites or Yakubites, the Yakub people, the Yakubites. So now I've shown you where the Israelites can also be called Hyksos or Habarus. Let's read about these Habarus. It says the Hyksos, who they were. The Hyksos were Semitic, anti-Semitic. Oh, you've been anti-Semitic. Well, who were the Semitic people? They were Hyksos from Levit, modern day Syria, Canaan, who migrated into Egypt. Nobody drug them, nobody captured them and took them in there, nobody sold them into slavery. They just walked their ass in there, eventually taking power and ruling Egypt, as Crumb just pointed out, as they always do. During the second intermediate period, 1630 to 1523 BCE, I want to point out Egypt was in its 15th fucking dynasty at this time. A dynastic period is a long time. They're in number 15. So the first, second, and third, fifth, 12th, 9th, 7th, 4th dynastic period, they didn't exist. The connection to the Bible from a Hebrew Israelites out there. The capital of Avaris. The Hyksos ruled from the city of Avaris, which was located in the Nile Delta. The exact geographical region the Bible identifies as the land of Goshen, where Yaqub family settled. Now, you know what happened to Yaqub family as they settled in the land of Goshen, which is in ancient Egypt? They dropped the worship of their deity. No, they still worship uh Yahweh. They still worship. No, fuck, they didn't. They didn't. They did not. They didn't. That was the whole point of Moses coming 380 years later to bring them into the fold of the God Yahweh. Let's see who they worship while they was there, shall we? Now, if the Israelites are truly of Jewish descent, they were not worshiping Yahweh. Who were they worshiping? Ooh, hand raised. I know. How about Horus? Some scholars and those study biblical anthropologists propose that the subset of Habarus often associated with the biblical Hebrews were Horite priests who worship Horus. I'm gonna drop the fucking mic and yield the floor. I don't want to continue no more. I'm done talking about these jokers. They worship Horus, not Yahweh, not no Canaanite storm god. They worship Horus. Moses was learned in all the ways of the Egyptians, all the ways, all the ways. That's religion, that's food, that's culture, that's language, that's everything. He spoke. What language did Moses speak? Egyptian. There was no other tongue. There was no Arabic at the time. There was no Hebrew language at the time. Hebrew is not a language. They were not identified as Hebrews until they crossed over the river. That's what the word mean. They were called Habarus, or they were known as Hyksos, the worshippers of Horus, the Horite priests. And the Horite priests later became known as Levites or Levitical priests. That's how they knew of the forthcoming of Yeshua HaMashiach, or Jesus, who was sent to Egypt to be baptized as the Mashiach under the god Sobek. I yield the floor.
Well, yeah, we have gone past the 2 hour mark, and I have another measure, but it'll take every bit of, you know, 2 hours again. So I just want to kind of give the family a teaser, and I wanted to say, in order for me to
I mean, start with this. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
even get into this and for the minister to do a part two, and that's not in part two, is a whole different situation. But in order for us to do this, family, we're going to have to get the likes up. We're going to have to get the subs up. And when I say get the subs up, that means you're going to have to hit that notification bell as well. And I apologize for taking you through all these steps. It's not good enough to just hit the subscribe button. Your ass gonna have to tap that bell too. I know we don't really push that, and YouTube has been big since the whole nip slip with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. You can Google, hey, how did YouTube even get big? How did YouTube become the biggest platform in the world? In the world, Craig, it was because of the nip slip Janet Jackson video. But it's been a long time. It's been a long time since that happened. So I would assume that the family already knows to hit the bell. But apparently the message still hasn't got to all the family. So with that said, family, even if you are subscribed, go back and hit the freaking bell. You're gonna have to get the likes up. Here, matter of fact, I'm gonna do a check to see how many likes we got real quick, minister. Just give me just 2 seconds. I'm pulling up
Please take your time. Please take your time.
pulling up YouTube.
A lot of warriors in there.
Here we are. I'm gonna
Lots of
refresh the
warriors.
system.
Tons of warriors.
So I'm gonna refresh. All right, we're live right now.
And this ain't no shot to nobody. We appreciate you guys even taking the time out to check out the channel. But man, I promise you, the only way that we survive and keep doing this great work, this great body of work, man, is the way that we know that y'all are feeling us is through subscribing, clicking that bell, hit the like button. The share button don't cost y'all nothing. It takes 2 seconds to hit share, wherever y'all are, man. We appreciate y'all. 66 watching. Yep.
Well, I may be wrong, and listening audience, please keep me honest by correcting me. I only saw 50 likes, and even though it's over the 50% ratio, it still kind of hurt my heart a little bit. I would like to see a little bit more than 50. So if we want to go in let me see how many slides I got on this. Let me just see. 52 slides on this, and it'll take the minister and I at least an hour, at least, probably not more. It's probably 2 hours. If we want to go through that thing, we're gonna have to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. If you already hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. And if you're really feeling jazzy, family, minister, could you put the Cash App link up there? Family, if you're really feeling jazzy, if you're really feeling enthused, if you've taken some notes, if you're part of the pen and pad gang, if you're super duper encouraged, listen, family, we have gotten a little bit biblical tonight, amen. So with that said,
That's a
don't start.
collection thing.
So yeah,
That's a
that's
collection thing. Pass the
that's all I
coach
have to
out.
say. That's all I have to say, Minister. I want to thank you for giving me the time. I know that I've kind of gotten fanatical about this, but every time in the news, I see more and more. So thank you so much for dealing with me, because there's so much more to talk about, honestly. But I appreciate you making the time for me tonight. It means everything. And I got one last request of you, Minister.
Shoot.
Let's do it again.
Listen, let's come back to this right here. Let's come back with the this joint right here. I do want to share this really quickly before we tap out of here. Am I on the screen? There we go. I made this a while ago on my old Instagram account that I can no longer get into because the Moors snitched on me. But nevertheless, let's check. Now it's on my TikTok page. Let's check this out right here. Oh shit! Wait a minute. That's not it. My bad, family. Hold on. God dang, damn it! I'm about like Crumb now. Like you press one damn button, you go. Here we go.
Making a wave when you can. Temporary layoffs. Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times. Scratching and surviving. Good times. Hanging in a chow line. Good times. Aren't we lucky we have them? Yeah. Good times.
That's over on my TikTok channel, man. If you're not following me over there, I'm going ape shit over there, man. And words, my good brother Crumb is jumping like Jordan over there, man. Go over there and support the channel, support us, continue to tap in with us. Hit that Cash App joint. If it's $2, $3, $4, I don't really care what it is, family. Tap in with it, man. I'm gonna leave y'all with about a minute and a half of that video we started with, just for good measure, because I believe in y'all. I mean, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, but we gotta go. Okay. So with that being said, man, and in the words of my brother Crumb, I leave you how I found you. Peace and love.
Firstly, the origins of the Yiddish language itself disproves the Khazar theory. The language of the Khazars was a form of Turkish, and how an Eastern European Turkish-derived group would end up speaking a language derived from Old High German goes completely unanswered by this theory. The known medieval history of the development of the Ashkenazi in Germany likewise disproves it. However, it can also now be disproved conclusively genetically.
To start a podcast with Riverside, all you need is a concept and a way to record it. Here's how it works.